So thanks for being here. Okay, this is a theory paper, but we all have something to do with wine. Well, actually, Angelo, who's here, is a real specialist. And Wanda's parents live in Pfalz in Germany, and my grandmother is from Bordeaux, so wine means something to me since a while. I hope this is theory, but I hope you're gonna understand what are the stakes for the wine industry here. That I'm gonna make clear what we try to do. Essentially, our motivation, the title has changed, but motivation was to try to understand how different the architecture in the wine collective design, in the wine collective reputation design, differs, for instance, in Bordeaux and in Bourgogne. In Bourgogne, it's more hierarchical with very fine scale at the top for climat that are top climat identified, like more elitist in a sense, while in Bordeaux it's a little less elitist. And this is the motivating question we had in the first place. So collective reputation, which is the topic of more broadly of this model, collective reputation are quite common, especially in agricultural market, as we all know here. And in the European Union, they are referred to essentially as geographical indications, right? This is the distinctive feature of the European wine, that they are identified with regions. So they amount to collective labels, and they have a long tradition, starting with the AOCs in France, especially around here in Bordeaux. So in the EU, they are so important that it's even probably an impediment, one of the main impediments to this famous trade agreement with the US. You know, if you look at the press all over Europe, they complain about the fact that this potential treaty might really allow American people to produce champagne, etc. Right? It's important these days. Now, when you look at that from the European point of view, essentially, you have different stories around on how these collective reputations, this appellation, endure crisis over time. So, for instance, in Spain, there's a secession problem. It's not the only place, and that has happened in Tuscany or in other places. Like this is about the fact that collective reputation might not be stable, right? Some people want to get out of them. In some other cases, like in France recently, in the Languedoc, they want, on the contrary, to merge appellation. Okay, this is something that would go the other way around. In Bourgogne, there have been several reshuffling, especially this one, for instance, in Montagny, where it's been the borders of the appellation have been reshuffled over time. Okay, now suppose you're in a new country like China. How do you design your new system? So apparently they're leaning towards using Bordeaux as the design principle for their collective reputation system. Okay, so these are the type of examples that we want to look at and we want to analyze through the lens of a theoretical model. So yeah, you're going to see experts play a role here, an important role, but I'm not going to talk so much about them in the end. So when you think about these problems from a theory point of view, there is this paper that everybody cites, and maybe not everybody has read, but by Tirole on collective reputation. And what we offer is a new model of collective reputation that uses a different information structure, which is much more important in the case of wine. Essentially, in Tirol, you have lots of information on bad quality, while in our model, the point is going to be that you have finer information for good quality. Just think about wine if you think about wine, you see that you can have very fine information at the top between the name of the top chateau or cru, etc. There you have a lot of information, and you have a lot of pooling, as we say, at the bottom of the distribution of qualities. Okay, so this is going to be an ingredient that we're going to introduce, and that makes our model different from Tirole's original model. Apparently I cannot show you. Well, okay. Anyways, so the point then is that we're going to be able to emphasize the cost and also the benefits of collective reputation. Usually, when people think like, okay, collective reputation creates free riding, hence it decreases incentives for quality. We're going to show it's not always the case. On the contrary, and there are good reasons to believe that designing well an appellation, introducing a collective dimension can actually add to the overall quality. So this is what we're going to discuss, and actually, well, we're going to discuss only 3 selected central results in this vein, just to convince you that this model can be very useful in understanding this architecture problem. So our model is again different from Tirol. Okay, I know I might hurt the feelings of people in the room, but I'm not going to cite any other literature here for the sake of time. I know there are lots of contributions there, but so we have heterogeneous producers that are grouped according to a collective reputation structure. I'm going to discuss that in what object this is exactly a collective reputation structure. I'm going to discuss that in a few slides. So producers, given their characteristics, say terroir or expertise, etc. So in this heterogeneity, there's going to be all the inputs that are necessary to make good wine. So they exert effort in order to produce high quality, when they have to exert more effort for higher quality. And the demand side, a priori, is not informed, but there are experts. Think about them. Think about this source of information as the experts, as we've discussed before, that with some probability detect the good wines. But it's not going to be perfect. You know, not all good wines are detected, and at the same time, once it's detected, you know that it's going to kick. That there's going to be a kick in price. Okay. So, but the products, the wines that are not detected, are then pulled together, and their price is going to depend on the reputation of the group. Okay. So, when we put that in a model on the producing side, we have this theta here, which is going to be a continuous parameter representing the heterogeneity among producers. And they choose more or less effort, which is this variable Q, to produce high quality or low quality. For the sake of simplicity and of tractability of the model, there are only going to be 2 qualities, but this is not this is without real loss of generality for the stories we have to tell. Sorry. So theta is distributed over some interval 0,1 that represents again, think terroir rather in this case. And producers individually choose the quality, the effort Q they put in production. Then, once quality is produced, as I was telling you, with some probability, if it's good, it's detected by experts. This probability is going to be E. E stands for experts. The higher the more experts there are around. Experts detect high quality. But then, when it's not detected in the bottom half of the tree there, well, some good wines are not detected, and they are pulled with all the rest, including the bad ones. Okay, so then you have this mu here. This is going to be the collective reputation of the group. Okay, wines are either detected as good, and then they escaped through the top. They get good prices right away, or they are pulled with the group. In this case, this is mu. Okay. So that's the basics here. And in Tirol's model, actually, the point is that the information structure, so the right part of the tree, is different, and it makes a huge essential difference for the story. Don't have time to enter the details here, but that's the key difference. Now, if you plug all this and build utility function, profit functions, etc., you end up with the last line here, which says that the producers are going to put effort if and only if, not surprisingly, their cost is low enough. Okay, so this is going to define a cost threshold under which they're going to invest and above which they're not going to invest in quality. But note that it depends on mu, the collective reputation, that we still haven't detailed here. It's going to come from the information dimension of the model. Okay, so the mu is the collective reputation, and what this equation says, the last one, is that the higher the collective reputation, the less incentives it gives to the producer. In some sense, the higher your reputation, the more you're free ride on it. Okay, this is a key aspect that's not present in Tirol's model. Actually, this is an important point for the analysis. Now, I'm not going to enter the details here, but when you use in game theory this concept of Bayesian equilibrium, we have an equilibrium in which consumers are rational. This we can debate, of course, but this is what game theory allows us to properly do. And producers anticipate the demand, etc. So we have 2 conditions. The first condition is that producers optimally choose their level of quality, invest at the threshold level that's rational, and then the consumers react optimally, understanding the collective reputation structure of the group. Okay? Okay. Then in equilibrium, here's what happens. We have a characterization where we can show what is the average quality, that's the left axis, and the incentives for quality on the bottom axis. And essentially, in this case here, I've shown you like one single group. Our producers in the first place, we just get together in this single group, and we get some equilibrium result here. I didn't go much into the math, but this is this picture when we have one group. Now the question is, can we do better if we start splitting the groups? You know, designing the collective reputation and saying, shall we put the best clima together at the top and leave the other ones apart? And will that create more incentives? Because the incentives for quality in this context look like this. So the high-cost producers free ride on the quality of the low-cost producers. Low-cost producers produce quality, and the other ones free ride on that. Then, if low-cost producers could separate, then this would actually increase the incentives of the bad producers. There would be less quality on which to free ride. So if you manage to take out the good guys, then the bad guys will have more incentives because their reputation is going to drop, and then they will have to invest to maintain it intuitively. So the bottom line is that if everybody would like to kick out the high-cost, bad quality producers in a group, this in turn has the perverse effect that this reduces quality in the group. Okay, and this is a key aspect that we can look at when we design the collective reputation system. So let me just give you one example of what we can do. We have seen the full collective reputation model, where it's as if there would be just one appellation in Bordeaux. We're just now going to look into vertical collective reputation, where we do one group of good guys at the top and one group of less good guys at the bottom that would be more Bourgogne type. Then in this case, I didn't have so much time to comment on the picture, but in this case we would have one group, the best guys, which is the lowest cost at the bottom, and the high cost at the top. Okay, this is how we would do the analysis. The result here is that you always want to create such a group. Okay, so the first news is that yes, Bourgogne is a good idea if you optimally split your group into the good guys, into the best guys, and the other guys, then you can gain something. There's, however, a little footnote here, is that if you don't design optimally the split of the group, you can actually do worse. Okay? So it's a good idea to split, but not in any way. Okay, that's the first result. Then another result I just wanted very, very briefly to advertise here is that given the previous dynamics that the top guys want to separate, groups would unravel. If you let the market mechanics function, then the top guys would separate, etc., etc. And then the problem is that you would end up with individual types, right? With individual groups where everybody would be separated. What we show is that it's not necessarily best for incentives. Okay? Even though you get rid of free riding, when types unravel and the group gets to the individual level, given what's happening, I don't have time to get into this mixed equilibrium there, then you actually can have less incentives when people are separated. Okay, so that would be the third result here. Collective reputation can create more incentives despite free riding. This is an important theoretical message here. Okay, so there are lots and lots of things we could have done, and I don't have time to show them, but here's the list, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you.